Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to this is actually season 3. I'm not going to keep track of episodes, that's just way too hard. So, welcome back. My name is Dr. Kimberly Quinn, and I am here to help people, assist people, be a channel for becoming the boss of your brain. Why? Because thoughts come first and feelings come second. Therefore, taking charge of our thoughts, becoming the boss of our thoughts, changes lives. Our thoughts dictate our lives. So today's chat is going to be on teaching the ADHD mind. And so, I was actually inspired by an article in ADDitude, as in capital A, capital D, capital D, etude. And those in the Fast Mind Club, we often do etudes, so it makes sense. So I was inspired by an article by Josh and Melinda Boring. I don't mean they're boring. I mean their last name is Boring. So I'm guessing there must be a couple of spicy badasses because, with the last name such as Boring, you have to wear it well. Okay, so first of all, it's very important right out of the gate to let students know that it's a team effort. And their article is actually about little kids, and as you all know, I teach at the college level, and so it's important to know. This it really isn't different. Is actually what I'm saying. It's different. Obviously, it's different. The context is different, but the dynamics are not different. That is the main thing. The dynamics are the same. So it's important right out of the gate to let students know that it's a team effort. So sometimes I verbalize that. I have mostly first years, not all, but mostly first years, and they often just have some really not so great learning experiences. And I'm certainly not intending to put down, high school teachers and middle school teachers. They work hard, and it's a hard job. That isn't it. Maybe perceived bad experiences, I don't know, but they often get a lot of shame around learning and things. And so I often say I'm on Team Jason or, Team Michelle or whatever, and they kind of look at me and say, yeah, you're intelligent, and sometimes they're good with it, sometimes not so much. It really takes some work. So to let them know we're not on opposing sides like we're in a boxing ring, it's not how it is. And I tell them I want all my rock stars to be successful, of course. And now for a little kid, you might have to just let them know it's a team effort more by your behavior rather than trying to have them process all that. And then of course communicating. It's so important to communicate. And I tell all of my students, I can't, together we can't fix it if I don't know about it. So, it's very important. They get very good very quickly. And the way we do that is to make communicating inviting. So, we're not the big scary teacher or professor, to make communication inviting. So now back to the Fast Club members, or ADHDers, and also neurotypicals, but it's important to captivate the attention of your audience as a teacher, right, or professor, and educator, we could say. And so it might like a contradiction in terms for the ADHDers, of course, but our attention can definitely be grabbed. And it's also important, number 3 here, is to involve the whole student in the teaching, learning process. And because, and I say to my amazing rock stars when they walk in, day one, that when you walk in, it's not just the student who walks in, your whole life walks in with you. Whether you grew up in an urban environment, rural environment, what your birth order is, if you're an only child, if you're a twin, if you grew up with one parent or two, a mom and a dad, two dads, two moms, there are all kinds of learning differences, mental health, and you just broke up with your partner last week, or you got dumped last week, or whatever. All this stuff walks in with you. Never mind if there's addiction in the house or whatever. Also, obviously, all the positive experiences and all that goes in. So the whole thing put together, the whole student. So it's much bigger than what it appears when a student walks in the door. That is the point. Also true for the little kids. And then, of course, for the ADHDers of the Fast Mind Club, we've got a sweet spot for attention. Our dopamine-deprived minds are sort of actively seeking out stimulation most of the day. And so we may be sitting there looking really bored because we are distracted by, maybe it's a really good conversation, actually, but we're looking bored because we're so distracted. At the college level, I'm just so crazy about my rock stars. They're so enthusiastic, so intelligent. and there's such crossfire conversation that it might be we're distracted by so many shiny objects, all these things being said, and then we might have that look on because we're searching for a shiny object because we're not stimulated enough. So there's definitely a sweet spot for us where we feel very much in the groove. And I don't know that that's true for neurotypicals or not, because I'm not one. But for the Fast Mind Club, we definitely have a sweet spot where we're in the groove, and we can learn to navigate that pretty well. And though we're not saying it's anyone's responsibility to sort of land us in that sweet spot, it certainly helps when the educator is aware of executive functioning issues, not just for us, but also those in the autism spectrum and any other learning differences. It can really, it just feels good when somebody gets it. Okay, how can I get you back? How can I reel you back? And with little kids, there are all kinds of little tricks to do with pretending like a plane is landing, or depending on the developmental age and stage and all that. But just work with us and bring us back, rather than doing the sort of shame game, even if it's subtle. We've got that sweet spot, and just like neurotypicals, we've also got biorhythms, just like anybody else. So, I'm definitely a morning person, even though, of course, my mind is pretty much going the high majority of my waking day. It's going at its, full tilt, full throttle in the morning. And one of my kids who's in the Fast Mind Club, she's also going full throttle, though she is definitely a night owl. So just like the NTs or neurotypicals, we have to work that in too. That's not really necessarily inherent to the ADHD. That's just how our body rhythm is. So it's important to and for once you become, work into being, a teenager and adult, you become aware of your own body rhythm. And that's very important for all of us. So, and for the fifth one, understanding that we are driven by an interest-based nervous system, and we need stimulation. We all need stimulation, though those in the Fast Mind Club, the ADHDers, we, again, our dopamine-deprived brains are actively seeking out, stimulation the high majority of the day. And we operate best, we are the most motivated when we are interested in something. So, again, I'm on an anti-shame campaign, because sometimes people will say things like, oh, well, sure, wouldn't everybody like to be interested in something, to have to do it? Or, just like a little 4-year-old got to be interested to do something. And why don't you just grow up? And what's the matter with you, Peter Pan? And, the judgers can just, go to their judger place, their judger planet, preferably. They can all stay together and judge each other. But, we can't help, how we're wired with this interest-based nervous system any more than we can help, having brown eyes, or, being 5 foot tall or 6 foot tall, or, left-handed. It's just, you're born how you're born. It's just how it is. And also for educators, the teachers from preschool on up, and also professors in higher ed, obviously it's best not to take things personally. In general, in life in general, because 90+% of what anyone says to us is about them and not us, because we're obviously the authors of our own script. It goes without saying. Though as a professional adult is even more important, right? So if a first year in college is looking bored, to kind of use this awareness of, it could be an executive functioning thing at the college level. It could be they're adjusting. It could be not very deep at all. It could be they've had about 45 seconds sleep for a week straight, because it's exciting to get to college and they haven't slept. They've been living on Red Bull. It can be all kinds of things, but certainly not to take it personally. It doesn't mean what you're saying in your class is boring. Also true if you're teaching first grade, third grade, seventh grade, not to take it personally. It's very, very important. And kind of to just loosen up a bit, loosen up. And, I'll tell you, I do all kinds of activities in my class too. And I use humor a lot. And I forget whose work this is. I don't totally forget. I'm pretty sure his last name is Schmidt. And he said, when we add humor to anything, when you incorporate it right into the topic, our memory for the actual topic goes up significantly. Don't quote me on the percentage, just significantly. And we can do that with most things. Obviously, some things will, never be funny, like the Holocaust. That's just untouchable, obviously. However, most things can be, you can kind of inject some humor, and then it makes the whole topic last. So I'm big on humor. I send funny memes and announcements. And I have funny stories that usually pertain to the topic, though not always. We have 3 goats, Hamlet, King Lear, and Caesar, and I've got funny goat stories. So if I see they're starting to fade, I might come up with one of many funny goat stories. Something like that, because to take a couple minutes out just to breathe and laugh about something. You think, oh no, I can't get off track. I have a half an hour left. Diligent. Well, if you think about, if they're zoned out, you're really losing the whole 30 minutes. So if you take out 2, you're salvaging 28. That's the half full perspective on that one. And then here's the thing, the Fast Mind Club members, we need to move. And, honest to goodness, it's good for neurotypicals too. It's good for everyone. So, at least my classes at Champlain are an hour and 15 minutes. And so, it's good to, like, even if they start to fade, it's good to get them standing up. Sometimes I do an Okinawan breathing exercise. It isn't, I don't even know if it's 60 seconds, honest to goodness, maybe tops if I go long, minute and a half. So I sometimes start class that way. Sometimes if it's a sort of stressful time, like it's during midterms or finals, especially in the second semester when it's the winter, so you have the short dark days and the blustery winds up here in northern Vermont and all that, and I see a glazed look, sometimes I'll have them stand up, and then we kind of pull in whatever the preoccupied thought is, and then we breathe it out with this activity I do, and they're up and they're moving, and then their blood gets pumping. Sometimes I will put on the hokey pokey, middle of class. We could be talking about whatever we're talking about in Minecraft, and the original version, of course. I get them all in a big circle, and they're apprehensive for like the first 0.3 milliseconds. Before long, they're smiling and they're looking at each other. Then everybody's in, and they're shaking this and shaking that, and putting their bottom in and their bottom out, and it's great. And then when they sit down, they have energy, and they're smiling, and they're focused, and it's just so good. And then I do other movement ones too that are also really fun. And then lastly, as educators, again, from little to big, as we say, like the 3-year-olds in pre-K to higher ed in college, it's important for us as educators to lead the way. I mean, we still have to role model. I don't care if they're seniors in college; they're still imprinting, on us. Imprinting. Very Skinner, they're imprinting on us, and also Bandura. They're kind of, taking it in how we view learning, and we view learning as, hopefully, if we're doing it, if we're teaching at any level, that it's fun and exciting. Kids are born into the world, loving learning until they get ruined somehow, and I don't even know where that even happens. But it's fun and exciting, and usually by the time they get to me, they're all super grades focused and everything else, and I do understand that. And I'm not saying it's bad to have goals and be looking forward to graduate school and professional lives, and that's all good stuff. It's just the actual process. You want to shift the focus from the outcome to the process, simply for the quality of life, because we don't want to save happy for later, right? That's ridiculous. And that's a formula we have reversed in the U.S. And I love my country dearly. This is just ass backwards, as Sean Aker would talk about in the Happiness Advantage, one of the books I use in Mindcraft. It's in the States, we often think, well, once I become successful, I'll be happy. It's the exact polar opposite. Once I become happy, I become successful. So these life minutes in this moment are valuable. Why? Because we've all we've got. So those life minutes in the classroom, learning what everybody's learning and listening to their classmates, and seeing interesting things that you're showing or whatever it is, that's all important now. Who knows if we'll even be here for graduate school? I'm not trying to be morose. I'm just trying to bring in the point that to the power of now. It's like a very Eckhart Tolle kind of thing to say, but it matters now. So we have to lead the way to emphasize the importance of this moment, the importance of our very valuable life minutes, how much we value learning and how much fun it is, and kind of, destigmatizing, what learning's been made into. I like to call it the red pen shame, even though, mostly grading is done online now. When I first started teaching, I used to go around in a circle and show a red pen and say, what does this make you think of? I've yet, all these years, heard one positive word about a red pen. It was just bad grades, incorrect, need to redo, F, not smart, never going to be smart, going to drop the class, going to not make it, just negative, negative, negative. That's what the red pen. And I actually love to grade in the old school way, and I just had to not do that during the Rona, but I'm going to go right back to it because I love what my students write. I love to sit on the couch with a glass of wine and the golden retriever, Giovanni, and read them. And I use purple and shades of blue and indigo and write all kinds of positive things, and then the need to work on some reminders about maybe formatting or circle a few typos, but it's all in pinks and purples and indigos and occasional green and green mixed with blue, and to try to destigmatize that. And that's also metaphorical, because again, the classroom is hopefully like almost like a playground. Like, who took the play out of learning? It's ridiculous. Grown-ups need to play. I need to play. I even have a remote control fart machine. Everybody should have one. I've brought all kinds of games, and I have games in my office students can sign out, and it's just so important to play and to role model how excited we are to be there. That again, and return to the moment and shift our attention to the process rather than the outcome. This is so important. So this works for your ADHDer, whether that's your child or your student, or you want to talk about this with your colleague because you teach and you work with kids and young adults. And this is about all I can do in this amount of time. There's definitely more, but mainly we need, the ADHDer needs to learn. Even the little ones need to learn more about how they learn rather than the content. The content will follow if the rest of this is all in place, because it's about really making sure that their working memory is clear, and also that they're feeling good about themselves. So actually, that's one last thing, because I didn't mention it, is I start every one of the classes I teach with a minute of mindfulness. Very, very, very important, because we need to clear out the working memory, especially with those who have executive functioning issues, to the best we can, because otherwise the whole rest of the class is basically, our efforts are in vain, because not much of anything is getting in, just how it is. So to clear the working memory and to help do the best we can to role model the process and to help students feel good about themselves exactly how they are. The anti-shame campaign is just huge. We need them to feel good in the classroom exactly how they are, bringing awareness to how they learn, and shedding all kinds of positivity on these wonderful, very different minds that all have something to bring to the table. That's it. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.